You could take a selfie for my wife.
That's actually why I'm here. I couldn't stop. Tell me about her.
If you're serious about spice.
Wow.
All right, give it a shot. Cause she's got like 8 million followers. She's not gonna notice a DM from me.
Yeah, so basically, if you guys don't know, it is called 911 Nashville. It is a drama tracking first responders at Fire Station 113, blending intense rescue missions with Nashville's music scene and also complex, scandalous personal lives that all of them have going on. And also, we have a blossoming new lesbian romance that is developing on the show. But before we get into further details and break down the relationship between the two ladies, please don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, and let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. So this couple's, relationship, situationship, affair have been introduced by the end of season 1. At the beginning of the season, I knew that Roxy was, a lesbian, but, the first part of the season wasn't focused on, her orientation or her personal life. It was more of her being a professional, handling her business, and also, being a good teammate and just handling what she has to handle. So if you guys don't know, Roxy is one of the main characters, and in this case, you can see that Roxy actually ends up beginning a new life for her after she moves to Nashville from New York, where she worked as a trauma surgeon before tragic, misdiagnosis led her to change careers. So now that she's in Nashville, she is part of, the team. She's just trying to find her place, working, focusing on work. She definitely doesn't have no life outside of work. She just work, and work. But obviously, by the end of the season, we can finally see her put herself in a position where she allows herself to start dating again, even though it was kind of difficult for her to open that door. So the plot between Roxy and Elena follow a slow burn romance that transitions from a professional rescue encounter to a personal relationship. So Elena is a very, very famous, beauty makeup influencer. So she was doing this tutorial on how to do something, and an accident actually ends up happening. So in this case, Elena ends up calling, the 911 Nashville, so the department, so they can come and rescue the other influencer whose mask got stuck on her face. So during that encounter, that's where the two actually ends up meeting. And right from the bat, you can see that Elena, after they could finally rescue the other influencer, everything went well. You can see that Elena actually was the one who made a move on Roxy. At the beginning, Roxy was like, no, she was just being sweet. She was just being kind because obviously I saved her friend's life. So it's obvious for her to be kind and to be like nice to me. But then her other friend told her, and that's also her co-worker, told her, no, she's actually into you. You need to give it a shot. But then, obviously Roxy said, no, she's not even going, even if I DM her, she's not going to DM me back because she has over 6 million followers. She's not going to see my DM. And in that very moment, Elena sends her a DM and basically make it clear that she's interested in her. The two was talking back and forward for a while, but they never officially set a date. Until, when Elena starts to realize that Rocky was moving slow, she was the one who put herself in a position to go to Rocky and invite her or call her up for a challenge. First, she invited her to be like a model for, a project that she wants to do. Roxy actually ends up rejecting her, and then also she ends up trying again, inviting Roxy to go do a chicken challenge that they have set up. And also, again, Roxy ends up rejecting her. So her friends and her co-workers basically called her out and told her like, hey, she came all the way here to ask you out twice and you're not gonna say yes. And Roxy was like, no, she was just asking information, she wasn't asking me out. But later on she realized that she was actually asking her out. So the two finally went on the chicken date. Obviously the date didn't go as planned, as Roxy in this case, she basically ruined the date by just making Elena feel like she was not interested, and she realized she ruined the date. So after having a very cool conversation with one of her friends, she actually ends up opening her heart on why she's so close to herself and she doesn't want to allow nobody in. It's because she was in a relationship back in New York with somebody who she definitely loved and she was willing to marry. She even had a ring for her ex-girlfriend. She was ready to settle down with that person. But obviously she ends up finding out that her person was cheating with her with somebody that she was working with. And obviously that ends up ruining very, very, very important, emotional trauma for Roxy, and also they might also be one of the reasons why she moved to Nashville. So now that another person is showing so much interest in her and they have chemistry, she doesn't know how to open herself to a new possible romance, maybe because she's not ready, or maybe she just feels like she will ruin it, or she's just emotionally unavailable. So after an incident, you can see that Elena actually ends up giving Roxy her space. She didn't go after her after that horrible first date. But then an event happened that changed Roxy's mind. She went into a situation with a guy who was making choices, and there was like a waking up call for her to realize that she cannot like push people away, and she needs to open herself and make better choices when it also comes to allowing herself to live and experience and be with new people. So she went up to Roxy, she went up to Elena, and she went to seek for Elena. She apologized for the date. She apologized for how she handled it, and obviously at the beginning you can see that Elena wasn't really giving her that energy back, but somehow Roxy ends up convincing her, by asking Elena out on a second date. Elena said yes, but under one condition, that she has to be like her model for this project that she's working on. And obviously Roxy said yes. They end up sharing a kiss, and it looks like, they are officially dating again, or in this case, they are officially dating. So far that's what we got from them. A very short story so far. Hopefully, if there is a season 2, we will be getting a little bit more of details when it comes to their story. I feel like they will be pretty nice. The only thing I wish is that their story would have been introduced a little earlier in the season. But I also get the direction that the writers want to go. They didn't want to just focus Roxy's storyline on her relationship or her orientation, but also on what she is as a professional, as a team worker, So I kind of get they were building her individual character before introducing a romance. So there's also something positive in my personal point of view. But hopefully in season 2 we can get more if there is a season 2, like I said, we can get most camera time for the two, and hopefully they do work out. I do feel like we are missing chemistry between them. I will not say the chemistry is out of the ordinary. I would just say like it's there, but I do feel like they need to work on it a little bit more so that they can definitely get, us as viewers, as to basically support the relationship more. Now it's giving, but I don't feel like it's giving enough to a point where I can say, yeah, this couple is it, So let's see what is gonna happen. I'm very excited, I'm very happy that we could see Roxy, open herself and her heart again to a new romance. That's something very positive that I definitely do feel like she deserves. She been close for so long. She haven't dated nobody in so long. She had been alone, for so long. For the fact that she finally opened her heart to a new possible romance is a very, very positive move for her. And obviously she had amazing colleagues by her side who help her with this, with this new open like journey. So that's also very nice. If you guys want to watch it, it has one season available. It has 18 episodes, and it's available and if I'm not mistaken, on Hulu and on other streaming platforms as well. So go watch, go support. It is an amazing series.